Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as part of its advocacy role in the Nigerian business and economy space, hosted a roundtable to discuss the debt sustainability plan of the nation. President of the LCCI, Mr. Babatunde Ruwase, in his opening remarks shared the importance of the forum.
This is an opportunity to review our debt situation, identify key implications of rising debt stock, and offer solutions. The LCCI is concerned about the rapidly growing public debt and implications for the country's fiscal sustainability. It is imperative for Nigeria to set a debt management framework that aligns with the economic growth drive, revenue profile, and ability to pay realities.
Representing the Director General of the Debt Management Office, the Director of Policy, Mr. Joe Ugwala, gave an overview of Nigeria's debt profile between 2000 to 2018 and also outlined the focus of the debt management strategy.
From 2000, the budget deficit was 103 billion. And of course, new borrowing was also 103 point something. So essentially, we used 99% of borrowing to fund the deficit. In 2005, the deficit was 161.4, better, 161.4 billion naira. We borrowed 143, and of course we used 88.9%. That is the portion of borrowing, accounted for 88.9% of that deficit. Then 2010, we moved on to 2010. That's 2000, 2005, and then 2010. We had about 1.1 trillion naira. And of course, we borrowed, the borrowing that filled that gap was about 98%. Then by 2015, it was 1.45 trillion naira. And of course, we borrowed, our borrowing accounted for about 90%. 2017, 2.3. And of course, we also borrowed 2.3, just about 98.5. Then for 2018, of course, that is, this one is actually ongoing right now. The budget we had, the deficit we had was about 1.9 deficit. And of course, the borrowing that was provided, 1.6, which accounted for about 84%. From 2000, of course, the total public debt stock was 4 trillion naira. Yeah, 4 trillion. And then for 2005, 4.1 trillion. For 2010, 5.2 trillion. For 2015, that's between a 5-year period, 12.6 trillion. For 2016, 17.3 trillion. For 2017, 21.7 trillion. Then as of June, which the president just mentioned now, we're about 22.3 trillion naira there. Now, this is our strategy, which was approved in 2016, the debt management strategy. 2016 to 20 is a medium-term document. This was based on the economic realities and the need to address the structure of the debt portfolio. This will require an increase in external financing with a view to rebalancing the public debt portfolio in favor of relatively cheaper long-term external financing in order to reduce the cost of borrowing and lengthen the maturity profile of the portfolio. It also targeted at further lengthening the maturity profile of the domestic debt portfolio through the reduction in the issuance of new short-dated instruments or refinancing of maturing Nigerian treasury bills with external financing.
Mr. Bismarck Rewane, CEO of Financial Derivatives, in his presentation emphasized the need for Nigeria to channel its borrowing to investments that will drive the productivity of the economy.
Borrowing to spend is different from borrowing to invest. 2, subsidies are reverse taxes. And 3, that in 1978, 77 and 78, we had 2 Eurobond loans of $1 billion each, and it was used to fund about almost 25 to 30 different projects which were identified. Debt sustainability, defined as our ability of a country to meet its debt obligations without requiring debt relief or accumulating arrears. The opposite of debt sustainability is a debt trap. When you get into a debt trap, a situation in which a borrower is led into a cycle of reborrowing and rolling over. The fact that you have high debt doesn't mean that your economy is not performing. As a matter of fact, those who have borrowed to invest, the rate of debt service is much lower than the incremental rate of growth. Because if your debt is increasing as Nigeria's debt has been increasing, and at the same time, your productivity has been reducing, labor productivity, it means that you have not invested in anything that will increase the output of that country. And our labor productivity has gone all the way as high as -3, -4, down -2%. So it means that you are borrowing, and the debt burden is actually reducing your productivity.
Dr. Andrew Nevin, Chief Economist, PricewaterhouseCoopers Nigeria, on his part said that the nation will have to pursue an aggressive growth of 6 to 8% annually to address the poverty situation.
But the reality is that our economy is not doing very well. I think the charts that Bismarck put up showed this very, very clearly. We got poorer per capita in 2015. We got much poorer per capita in 2016. We got poorer in 2017. We're getting poorer in 2018. We're certainly going to get poorer in 2019. And the IMF is predicting we'll get poorer in 2020, 2021, and 2022. Now, that's 8 years of getting poorer per capita. And the mathematics of this are pretty simple. If we're not going to get poor, if we're going to lift people out of poverty, we need to grow about 6 to 8% per year. You've heard the CBN stand up and say how fantastic their policies have been at averting a currency crisis, and we've come out of recession. We haven't come out of recession. If your population is growing at 2.7 to 2.8%, and you're growing at 1.9%, you're still going backwards. So the mathematics of this are, we collect 6% of our GDP in taxes. There's been a big push by Mr. Fowler, the FIRS, to increase that. We haven't quite seen the result as a percentage of it. I'm not quite sure why, but I think the fundamental reason is it's very difficult to take more out of the tax system if the economy is not growing. And so people they have their income's stagnating, and then you're trying to take a higher percentage out at the same time. The only mathematics that works is the economy is growing. So the economy is growing at 6 to 8%. Your tax take can go up from 6%, 7% of the GDP. And then, of course, you've got a positive reinforcing loop on that, right? There's more resources to do all the things that we need in terms of government infrastructure product, more resources in terms of education and health. But where we are right now is in a very difficult place. So I think the good news is the debt level is still low enough, as we know, down at 19%, or it's 18.68, I think, on your chart, but we rounded the numbers, so 19%. So we're still low enough to fix our problems, but we're running out of time. As I said, how many more years can we continue to get poorer and poorer and poorer?
Mr. Bismarck Rwani and Dr. Andrew Nevin shared a perspective on how Nigeria can achieve a robust debt plan that works for the economy.
Policies are of no use if your actions are inconsistent with the policies. So I keep on saying it again. You cannot be penalizing people that you are encouraging to invest, right? So reforms, important, consistency of reforms, sanctity of contracts, and more than anything else, and all-embracing, conducive environment. The word environment has been abused, and so I don't want to use that word. I think a more conducive and friendly and welcoming, collaborative business atmosphere.
The only solution in PwC's view is we need to have policies that get our growth rate up to around 6 or 8%. Now that's going to require things around ease of doing business. It's going to require elimination of some of the subsidies we have. It's going to require in the power sector that we have market tariffs that attract investment. If we're going to grow at 6 to 8%, we need a significant amount of investment, both domestic sources but also foreign sources, so they need to find an attractive market. But there's no other path to success and prosperity than a higher growth rate per GDP. And if we get that higher growth rate, all these issues around fiscal sustainability, the ratio of our interest payments to our revenue, they're all going to go away if we can just make the economy bigger, employment bigger, get young people out of poverty in this country.
For the president of the LCCI, the Roundtable was an opportunity to brainstorm and gain further insight into the state of debt management in the country.
It's also clear that what we have been borrowing actually is for spending. It's not for investment. One of the speakers actually told us of what happened in the past years where 25 projects were funded with $1 billion. One cannot say with clarity what is going on at this time. So there is a need for us to probe it, and of course, with this result of what we have done, which we will also put in the public domain, we will see a way out of it. But certainly we need to look at what we are spending money on. We need to step back. Now we are refinancing. It's just like promoting the Eagles Day. We are going to the market to get money to pay off what we are owing presently. We are not actually investing, and this has a grave implication for the future. We also know that cost of governance has to go down. As a poor, not very rich country, it should also reflect in our leadership and the way our leaders are living. Where you have a state governor going on with a convoy of about 15, 20 vehicles, we are not that rich, and we should live in that manner. And of course, the ordinary person is, and that's why we have this problem with the labor, where they think there's money. Because when you look at the leadership, those who are governing us, they are living like everything is well. But we all know that it's not well.
Nigeria's current debt to GDP ratio is 18.68%, which analysts agree is not a crisis situation. Their concerns are clear that if the nation does not invest in borrowings that goes to specific projects that could stimulate the economy, it could be facing in the years to come a harsh economic condition.